Today's discussion is all about trade candidates in the post-draft NFL landscape as teams gear up for training camp and the preseason looms on the horizon. But let's be clear from the start, this isn't about fantasy trades or headline grabbing, names that would never realistically be on the move. We're focusing on players who could genuinely be part of trade talks, those who hold tangible value and whose situations make sense for a potential move. Sure, there are always popular names thrown into trade rumors, but if nobody in the league would pick up the phone for them, what's the point of speculating? That's not what we're here to do. Let's dive straight into the big storyline, the edge rusher that has fans split. Some corners of the fan base are eager to see him traded, thinking his time is up. But I don't see that happening. From my perspective, neither the player, his agent, nor the team seems motivated to push for a move. There's mutual interest in keeping him right where he is. That said, it wouldn't be the NFL if contract negotiations didn't bring their usual complications. These processes rarely move at the speed fans would like. Deadlines, priorities, and negotiations follow a rhythm of their own, one that doesn't always match the urgency we feel on the outside. As a side note, there's been talk of fan polls asking when this player should get signed or potentially traded, but that's more of an engagement tool than anything else. No need to get too hung up on that. What matters is the on-field situation and the business decisions being made behind closed doors. So, while it's always fun to speculate, don't hold your breath for a blockbuster trade involving this guy. Now, shifting gears to more realistic trade candidates, let's talk about another edge rusher whose situation is a bit more fluid. This is where things get interesting because his case is layered with context. His performance last season didn't quite live up to expectations. What was supposed to be a breakout year turned into a middling campaign. To complicate matters, the team is heavily invested in his position group, adding veterans on short-term deals and drafting fresh talent in back-to-back rounds. This influx of competition puts him in a precarious spot. From a financial standpoint, moving him wouldn't be a back-breaking decision for the team. His current cap hit is manageable, and any team trading for him would assume a lower financial commitment, which makes a deal feasible. But there's a catch. He's recovering from an injury. That naturally raises concerns about his availability and readiness for training camp. However, if he shows out during camp and flashes in preseason games, it wouldn't be surprising to see a team offer a mid-round pick for him. The question then becomes, should the team pull the trigger on a trade or keep him for depth, especially when building a strong edge rusher rotation is critical? Let's pivot to another name generating curiosity, though the appetite for his services might not be as high as some believe. This wide receiver has shown incremental improvement each season, yet his ceiling remains a topic of debate. Despite some fans pinning hopes in him, the general consensus is that he fits better as a third option in the receiving corps. He was never really seen as a legitimate WR2, and that's been reflected in how the team has handled his role. With the receiver room getting more crowded and cap space at a premium, his future with the team is uncertain. Financially, we're talking about modest figures. His current valuation isn't breaking the bank, but every dollar counts under a tight salary cap. The team has a few million left to maneuver, and moving this receiver could provide some breathing room. However, injuries can change depth charts in a heartbeat, and trading away a known quantity might backfire if others fail to step up. Keeping him for another season and aiming for a compensatory pick later might be the smarter play, unless someone else emerges and forces the team's hand. Speaking of emerging talents, players like Turpin, Mingo, Fenoy, and Brooks are all vying for spots. It's a crowded field, and not everyone will make the final roster. The reality is that without injuries thinning out the competition, tough decisions will have to be made. The team's salary cap constraints only add another layer of complexity. We're talking about cap hits in the range of a few million, not massive sums, but enough to influence roster decisions. A player like Tobet, for instance, might stick around simply because his potential outweighs immediate savings. Unless a standout performance from a younger player changes the equation, moving on from him prematurely seems unlikely. And let's not forget George Pickens. His name always comes up in these discussions, especially with fans eager to get their hands on his jersey. There's already buzz around pre-ordering his gear even before final roster numbers are set. That's the level of anticipation he brings. But while the merchandising side hums along, roster decisions remain grounded in performance and fit. Switching focus to the linebacker group, Deion Clark finds himself in a tough spot. With multiple additions to the unit, his path to making the roster has become steeper. Last season, he saw significant playing time due to injuries ahead of him, but his instincts and impact plays left much to be desired. This year, the team has bolstered the position with new faces and familiar veterans, all of whom could leapfrog Clark on the depth chart. The modern NFL values versatility, and these new additions bring exactly that, making Clark's singular skill set less valuable. In comparison, from a financial angle, Clark's cap hit is on the higher side for someone fighting for a roster spot. If the team can renegotiate his contract, lowering the financial burden, he might stick around. Otherwise, it's hard to see him surviving final cuts unless injuries or a surprising preseason surge shifts the narrative. Sometimes it's less about performance and more about cap management, and this feels like one of those cases. Turning our attention to the safety position, we have two players worth discussing. One of them, when fully healthy, elevates the team's performance. His presence on the field correlates with wins, but inconsistency and costly mistakes have marred his tenure. Another safety in the mix offers steadier play, but lacks the game-changing impact teams covet. Both have been solid contributors, yet neither has cemented themselves as indispensable. Given their cap hits and the team's limited resources, tough choices loom. Financially, Donovan Wilson carries a significant cap hit, while the other safety is slightly cheaper. Blake Hooker, for example, comes with a more palatable contract, making his retention more likely from a business perspective. Still, these are not long-term solutions. Both players might be on borrowed time, with this season serving as a final audition. 1 year from now, we could be looking at a completely different safety group. Depth remains a concern, especially with players like Maris Bell and Juan Thomas returning to fight for roster spots. Newer names like Elijah Clark, Zion Childress, and Mike Smith are also in the mix, but haven't yet proven they can hold down starting roles. The decision boils down to balancing immediate needs with long-term planning, all while navigating a tight salary cap. Sacrificing depth for marginal savings is a gamble, one that could backfire if injuries pile up. Now, let's discuss TJ Bass. Just a month ago, many would have argued to keep him as a reliable depth piece. He's shown he can be an effective run blocker, though his pass protection has been less consistent. Penalties have been an issue, and while he started games in the NFL, he's better suited as a 6th or 7th offensive lineman rather than a full-time starter. With the Cowboys' current roster construction, his spot isn't guaranteed. The team has invested in other offensive linemen, such as Brock Hoffman, who cemented his role as a primary interior backup. Robert Jones also commands attention due to significant investment. Add in players like Richards and Ajani Cornelius, who can play inside, and Nathan Thomas, who offers positional flexibility, and Bass suddenly finds himself in a crowded room. If another team values him as a potential starter and offers a mid-day 3 draft pick, it might be wise to make that move. Bass's contract is team-friendly with negligible guarantees, making him an attractive trade chip. Ultimately, roster spots are precious and cap space is limited. Every decision has ripple effects, and moving players like Bass for future assets can help maintain roster flexibility. The Cowboys are building with a clear vision, and while sentimental attachments to certain players are understandable, the business side of football often dictates otherwise. As always, we'll be here breaking down every move, every trade rumor, and every roster shuffle as they happen. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a revelation that is shaking the NFL world, former Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott has reportedly broken his silence, voicing sharp criticism toward his former team. The once beloved star, known for his dominant performances and fierce loyalty to Dallas, appears to have turned the page, and not quietly. After months of speculation regarding his future and potential return to the Cowboys, Elliott is said to have finally addressed the franchise's handling of his departure. In what sources describe as a scathing statement, Elliott expressed frustration over how the organization managed the latter part of his tenure, particularly in terms of communication and respect. It wasn't just business, Elliott allegedly stated. It felt personal. After everything I gave to that team, to be treated like I was just another guy, that stings. His words cut deep into the narrative long held by Cowboys fans that Elliott and the team had parted on good terms. The running back, who spent 7 seasons in Dallas, was once the heartbeat of the offense and a fan favorite, but his production declined in recent years as the team leaned more on Tony Pollard. According to those close to the situation, Elliott feels the Cowboys failed to support him through injuries and shifted the blame for offensive struggles squarely onto his shoulders. His comments suggest a level of resentment that fans never saw coming. "They used me up, then turned their backs on me," he reportedly said, though no official statement has been released by the Cowboys organization in response to Elliott's remarks. The reaction across the league has been swift. Analysts and former players are weighing in, with some defending Elliott's right to speak out, while others believe the comments may hurt his chances of solidifying a role elsewhere in the NFL. As rumors continue to swirl about a possible return to Dallas or a move to another team, this public fallout complicates matters. If this is indeed Elliott's final word on the Cowboys, it marks a bitter end to what was once a promising partnership, and a reminder that loyalty in professional sports often comes with a price. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.